Welcome, everyone. There was a ScreenRant article released on Tuesday all about and confirming Felicia Day returning as Zoja in Guild Wars 2 Soto, Secrets of the Obscure. And there was an article put out talking about her role in the expansion and her return, as well as an interview with the narrative leads for Guild Wars 2 Soto, Bobby Stein and Indigo Brook. So we are going to read this article together. Oh, and there's also a video. There's a video with behind the scenes footage and a preview of Zoja, Felicia voicing Zoja in Soto in this article. So even to get a video, to get behind the scenes footage, oh my God, like I love it. That's fantastic. I love seeing the people behind these games that we play, like very real people put in very real work to make this. And I love seeing that. And I love like acknowledging the work that they've done. I love that about ArenaNet. So there's that as well in here. Exclusive. First look at Felicia Day's Guild Wars 2 return as Zoja. I love this graphic. It's fantastic. Felicia Day's character Zoja returns to Guild Wars 2 after almost a decade with more evolved and mature personality. Players will explore new maps and defend Tyria against the demonic Cryptus in the upcoming expansion. The expansion introduces a meaningful and emotional story that delves into Zoja's growth and struggles, providing a relatable experience for players. Nice. It sounded like she was going to kind of be one of our our friends that's coming with us. We're gonna be like mostly the commander's gonna be like mostly by themselves, except for Zoja is gonna come along, which is really cool. Kind of gives Zoja the spotlight. The only thing is I really need to refresh my knowledge on Zoja because it's been so long since I've hung out with that character. I know the last time we saw her was Heart of Thorns, and it's been a long time now since that. So yeah, I need a Zoja refresher. Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure is slated for release later this summer and marks the return of Felicia Day's character Zoja. The upcoming 4th expansion for the ArenaNet MMORPG will take place high above Tyria, focusing on the mysteries of the Wizard's Tower. ScreenRant has an exclusive first look at Day's behind-the-scenes work on the project, as well as an interview with 2 of the game's developers. Felicia Day's Elementalist character Zoja hasn't been seen since the very first Guild Wars 2 expansion, Heart of Thorns, nearly a decade ago, and after so many years will now return as a much more evolved character since players last saw her. Fans will be able to delve into what Zoja has been up to while exploring 2 new maps, Skywatch Archipelago and Amnetus, with a 3rd to come in a future update. Following the events of the End of Dragons expansion, players will need to defend Tyria against the demonic Cryptus as they uncover new lore, relics, weapons, and more. Alongside exclusively premiering new behind-the-scenes footage of Day, ScreenRant can also share an interview with ArenaNet narrative director Bobby Stein and narrative lead Indigo Book, where they discuss Zoja's return to Guild Wars 2, working with the actress again after so many years, and what players can expect from the new expansion. All right, let's watch the video. This is a little preview. Hold on.
Here we go. Whenever you're ready, kick it off.
It's not full screening here.
Everything is going to change again.
You can just watch it here. Go watch the actual video.
I was so excited to return as Zoja. It's been, I think, almost 10 years. I need to focus. Keep the big one off me.
I love this behind the scenes stuff.
It's really
is
wonderful
so
to see the transformation
good.
from Zoja because she's really come quite a long way. She's been through a lot. I love Zoja's sense of humor. I love the fact that she's kind of prickly, but has a lot of love underneath all that prickle.
I'm
and
excited to
love that she
kind of
carries the memory of
re-meet
people
Zoja
really strong in her heart. These people, they all care about me. I connect with them better than I had with anyone. And this new arc of Zojja's is really lovely
Aww.
to play because she does have this self-doubt in trying to enter this new world as an elementalist. She is such an amazing character. I have such a good time voicing her.
What the f***? Who was that?
I love it. They're still not gonna shy away from that. That's fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. Oh my god. Yes! It's so good. Oh, alright. I'm so excited for these interviews with Bobby and Indigo. What was it like reuniting with Day for the role so many years later? Was it easy to fall back into the rhythm of the recording process? This is from Bobby Stein. It was pretty wild. I think the last time we were in a session with Ms. Day was for Heart of Thorns back in 2014 or so. Fans have been wondering aloud where Zoja has been since then. Yes, we have. The best was the beginning of End of Dragons, where Taimi was like, I don't know where Zoja is. That was so good, because it's like, it's one of those things that it's like almost a meme, because Zoja's been like just completely absent for so long, and especially if you kind of know that like it's a like, or suspect that it's like a voice actor thing, like, oh, they can't schedule her voice actor back, so like she's just completely like, they don't even mention her, right? So like it's kind of like been a meme, whereas it's like Cantha, and then we finally get Cantha, and then they joke about like, where's Zoja, right? It was fantastic. So that's that's hilarious. We'd considered bringing her character back for years, but the timing never felt right until now. And when the expansion team pitched the idea, they put together a character arc that allowed us to explore more of her personality and give the actor a bit more of a substantial headspace to explore. Ooh. We recorded all of Zoja's parts over 2 sessions, spread across the year-long development cycle. Like we do for all returning actors, we provide them with some voice reference to get them into the same vocal range for continuity. That's got to be hard after like many, many years of like not voicing a character, to get back into that. Like, and I wonder how it's different if like, if it's someone who's like a seasoned voice actor who does a lot of different voices, getting back into that one in particular, versus someone who doesn't do a lot of voices, but, you know, does like some here and there, to get back into something that they've done so long ago. Like, that's got to be a real challenge, like in both cases. But in Zoja's case, we wanted Miss Day to show the strain of time, to get a sense of weariness into the character. Well, not only time, but like her character got wrecked by Mordramoth, right? Like it's not only, oh, she's older. Granted, I don't think 8 years have passed in the game, like in the real world, but just like kind of like how Logan got messed up, right? I wonder how much of that they're gonna show, like, because Logan got very messed up physically from Mordramoth and the Blighting Pod, and we know that Zoja actually got scrambled like mentally, and that's why she actually was like unconscious for a lot longer than Logan was, because she mentally got messed up. So I wonder how much of that we're gonna like talk about, hear about, how, if they're gonna explore that, if there's lasting effects from that. I'm really interested in that. Even a touch of bitterness to reflect all she's gone through in the years since her injuries that she's sustained in the war against Mordramoth. Yes, yes. We spent a fair amount of time walking her through Zoja's arc, gave her context as to the character's mental state, and then let her do her thing as a professional. Standard operating procedure for voiceover, but Felicia made it look easy. That's gotta be so hard. All right, this part's from Indigo. Like Bobby said, bringing Felicia back in to reprise the role of Zoja was something we'd explored over the years, but we needed to have the right story to make it work. We had a lot of ground to account for between her departure after Heart of Thorns and present, so whatever that story was, it needed to be a meaningful one, for the character especially. I glanced away and lost my place. For the character especially. When we finally had that story, it was incredibly exciting. Some of the growth that Zoja has experienced would not have been possible without stepping away for a bit to find her own footing. That's cool. And while the Zoja we meet during Secrets of the Obscure is the same character our community remembers and loves from past events, she's grown. as she should, as a character, a lot. She's much more mature and self-aware, albeit needing to experience a little more growth in Soto. As all characters, there's always room to grow, right? There's always room to grow, as you should. You should never stop learning, always be growing and bettering yourself for whatever that means for you. This was something Felicia noticed as well. When we sat down with her in the booth for the first time in years, we had a lot of catching up to do. But much like Zojja, Felicia has also experienced a lot of growth between now and then. A lot of the threads we explore truly resonated with her, and she brought that growth straight into her performance. That is amazing. It was stunning to witness, and such a seamless experience. It's a story that, beyond the mysticism and fantasy of the expansion, has a very real conversation at its core. What does a professional do when they need a change? That's amazing. I love, like, I think it's a really amazing thing that Guild Wars 2 is exploring things that in the game, the story is telling a story. The characters, the commander especially, is going through things in the story and in the game that make you think about and question things in your own life, like in a good way, like growth and mortality and burnout and needing a break. Like the little post End of Dragons arc for me personally was huge, with like the commander has been going, saving the world, fighting all the stuff, and like you saw that take a mental toll. Like the commander needs a rest. They have burnout from saving the world. And like, I felt that, right? Because I experienced so much burnout in my life and with my, channels and stuff. And so like that like hit me, like it really resonated with me. Like, oh my God, yeah, sometimes you just like, you're burnt out and you need a rest and you need to clear your head. And that really came through in the commander's performance, like was huge. Like you could tell that the VO directors like really like drove that home, that like feel, sound tired, sound done, sound burnt out. And like that gives me a lot of promise for everyone's performance, but for Zojja's performance, you're going to be able to hear this growth, this change, this maturity in her. That's love it. How much improvisation goes on in a recording session with Day? Oh, I love it. I just want to know this like in general. I'm sure it's different for different voice actors. Bobby says, a bit. We'll go through a few takes to hit the emotional beats as we've written them, with the VO director guiding the talent through each scene and sequence. But then we give our actors some room to interpret those moments in different ways if inspiration strikes. We'll occasionally go with a new take, adjust the dialogue to fit, and update the script in the game to match. So there were definitely moments where a scene organically changed a little based on some discussions we had together. I love that. The major beats remained, but sometimes the dialogue would shift if the actor brought something new that worked. I love that. Indigo says, plenty, yeah. Felicia is the kind of actor that really immerses herself in a script, so she was constantly asking questions and giving us her take on a line. When I write a script, I do so knowing that some of our actors have been with these characters longer than I've written for them. Our player character actors, for instance, have been with us for 10 plus years now. Wow. Didn't one or two of them change at one point? They've been with these characters since the beginning. Felicia not only brings expertise as a professional, but she also is an expert on Zojja, even this more matured Zojja. Hearing her reaction to an adaptation of a line is just as crucial as the writing itself. The script is a springboard and Felicia is the gymnast. That's amazing! Was it the Char PC? Are there any scenes that stand out to you as especially difficult or rewarding to get right in the booth? Bobby says 2 come to mind, and I wouldn't be surprised if Indigo is thinking of them too. The first is a moment where Zojja and a friend process some grief together. It was beautifully animated by our cinematic team and shows her character at a low point in the story where she opens up a little bit. Still a bit guarded as the emotions are very raw, but you start to see a different side of Zojja than before. I absolutely need to give myself a refresher on Zojja. she's definitely a closed off type of character, but there's a lot going on behind those eyes in that moment. And Felicia really brought her A game to the scene. The other one is probably my favorite, as the genesis came from some chats that Indigo, narrative designer Matthew Medina, and I had about how we could show this normally impossibly strong individual in a way that bears her soul. Since she's not the touchy-feely type, it had to be framed a bit differently in order to work, with a little inspiration from one of our favorite films as a reference point. Ooh. Ooh. I think Felicia really nailed the moment in a way that made everyone on the session tear up a bit. Oh, I hope that fans feel the same way when they experience it in the game. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Tip: when the moment comes, hang back a bit and let Zoja talk. Don't barge in or it gets cut short. Ooh, I hate that. I hate that. I understand from a gameplay perspective that sometimes that has to work, and that exact thing makes me in when I'm playing the game now, like I kind of like if NPCs are in the distance talking, like if you walk into a room or come into an instance and the characters are talking, like I don't move because I have cut off dialogue before and it makes me so mad. It makes me want to restart the entire instance. Like because a lot of times if you get close, it will get cut off. And I understand there's people who rush through the story and that's not important and stuff, but like, I don't know. I think those things should play out either way, but I understand that that's just game dev. That but I love that. I love that tip. I love that, like, you know, hey, make sure you hang back so that this all plays. And especially because it's all voice acted. Like, oh my God, there's so much voice acting in Guild Wars 2. It's fantastic. So yeah, I'm very cautious in the game now when I like see two NPCs talking. I like do not approach at all until I'm sure that they're done. Like I want to get, it's funny because I want to get close to like see the characters bigger and see their animations and stuff, but like I don't know like where is that line? Like where's that line where like I'll get too close and then it'll cut off and they'll go, oh hi Commander. And I do love that a lot of times there is that transition. You get close and it's very organic, like, oh, I came close, they noticed me, and then someone will say, oh hi Commander. I'm specifically thinking in Net of Dragons, I think there's a Cass Jory scene where you go into that little meeting room on the side of Arborstone, and Cass and Jory are talking, but if you get close enough too quickly, Casimir will, oh, hi, Commander. And then I think Jory even gets kind of mad because you interrupted her and her girlfriend talking. So keep that tip in mind when you're playing Secrets of the Obscure, that don't walk close. Let dialogue play out if you want to like see everything, hear everything. Indigo says, oh yeah, Bobby nailed it. We've got a scene later in the expansion where Zoja and another character share a very raw, tender moment together. Both Felicia and Sharon Muthu, her counterpart in this scene, do we know, is that a new character? Do we know who that is? Brought their absolute best to the table here. It's a tough relationship to land, a bond that's years in the making, but we're only witnessing that bond through how these characters interact with one another. Oh, maybe someone who like took care of her or something? It's like going to meet your partner's friends. They all have a history, and while we're probably welcome to listen in, we're observing years of friendship and relationship development. That's so interesting. What a perspective. While the Commander, our player character, was busy saving the world from certain demise, Zoja was building a foundation elsewhere. And this is one of those core... That's so cool, because then it's like, Zoja, you know, maybe wasn't in stasis all this time. Zoja, you know, experienced things. She, you know, it wasn't just on pause in these, you know, 8 real life years that, you know, since we've seen her. She's formed relationships. She's done stuff. I would assume maybe something with her recovery. Maybe this person maybe helped her recover from her injuries, especially if they were mental, and then, you know, maybe physical as well. We'll have to see. Zoja was building a foundation elsewhere, and this is one of those core moments where we see that foundation in action. It's one of the sincerest moments we've had in the game to date. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. The other scene Bobby referenced was maybe one of the most challenging and interesting scenes I've tackled as a writer. In game development, brevity is key. We don't want to spend too much time on a single scene. So when we're approaching heavy, complicated character moments, we try to be concise. This happens at the apex of Zojja's arc, and while we don't want to give anything away, we get to see her at her most vulnerable here. Everything she's felt and experienced after the blighting pod in Heart of Thorns is strewn on the table at the commander's feet. Wow. Zojja's otherwise curt austerity cracked open, though we love our prickly girl that is maintained. It's a good existential scene, and a lot of the topics are things that we all think about, and we hope it's relatable. Oh no, this person's gonna die, aren't they? Oh no. Ah! That's amazing. And I love that. I love these existential scenes that make us all think about our lives and our experiences, right? Oh, it's incredible. It's so good. What made this expansion the right time to bring Zojja back to Guild Wars 2? Bobby says, being done with the Dragon Saga frees us up to explore other pockets of our lore and go deeper on certain characters. While I'm proud of what the teams have done from launch up through End of Dragons, I'm happy to close that chapter on the game. Like I mentioned earlier, we considered bringing Zojja back since Heart of Thorns, but the current velocity of the story and the large cast of characters made it difficult to find the right space for her. This time, almost a decade later, we looked at where we were going with the Guild Wars 2 story, at where we'd parked Zojja, and at Ms. Day's availability, and figured we'd put together a pitch that would hopefully result in a satisfying character return for all involved. And to our delight, she was excited to reprise the role. We wanted to make sure that we could do Zojja justice and give non-Asura player characters a chance to spend some time with her. Yes! Get to know her on a deeper level than before. And seeing how much Ms. Day's life has advanced over the years, running multiple businesses, becoming a mother, producing, directing, acting, we felt that she could lend her own life experience to the role and show this iconic character maturing as well. I love that. Indigo says, we've thought about bringing her back over the years. At least one or two people brought the character to the table each release. The timing just didn't feel right until now. And that's largely because we didn't have the arc or setting to tell the story that the character needed. Where we left off with Zojja's arc in Heart of Thorns was pretty brutal after all. She just suffered a horrible incident and returned to Radasum to recover. And as we'll soon learn, she needed change. Zojja needed to find herself amongst the chaos of the Elder Dragons and expectations back at home. Yeah, Zojja, remember Zojja was fighting the Elder Dragons long before we ever were, even with Destiny's Edge. So, like, their history with them goes back even further. As the overarching story of Secrets of the Obscure began to unravel, Zojja's place in this mysterious, archaic side of the world felt pretty darn perfect. Her arc of growth and maturity fell into place. It was a story that meant a lot to myself and Matthew Medina, Soto's narrative design lead. A lot of the emotional struggles that she tackled prior to and during the events of Soto are very real conversations that all of us have, especially as we move into the middle of adulthood. Oh no, this is going to hit me hard, isn't it? Coupled with her emotional odyssey, bringing Zojja in also served a very practical purpose as well. It's a goal of ours to introduce a newer cast and expansions moving forward, with nods to our typical allies. This keeps things fresh for returning players and approachable for new folks. It also highlights the fact that we're exploring a new region and thus are primarily interacting with new voices. Bringing Zojja in allows her to serve as a grounding presence for the commander. I love that. I like that a lot. The last time players saw Zojja was in Heart of Thorns, where the player was helping her escape from a jungle filled with Mordrum. What has she been up to since then? What can you reveal about where players will find her, narratively speaking? That is so spoilers! These questions get answered in the expansion, so I can't spoil them here. All I can really say is that they'll reunite with her fairly quickly and check in with her throughout the story. I included some sneaky teasers about her time between Heart of Thorns, but we're going to keep those details under our hat for now. She's been through a lot, to say the least. What are you most excited to see players react to in Secrets of the Obscure when it comes to Zojja? Oh, Bobby says Guild Wars 2 is a big game, and not everyone has been along for the journey since day one. As a matter of fact, we've gotten a lot of new players into Tyria in the past year or so, and not everyone goes through the 10-year dragon story in linear order. True. Some folks just simply won't know who she is or why her return is kind of a big deal at first. My hope is that returning players who know, love, and remember Zojja will be happy to adventure with their old mentor or partner in dragon hunting in a new era. And for brand new players, I hope they get to know her and empathize with all she's been through, and annihilate a few demons along the way. Bobby summarized it beautifully. The Zojja we're meeting in Secrets of the Obscure is the same Spitfire Elementalist our players know and love, but one that has undergone quite the journey since we last met. It'll be exciting to meet her again, especially for players that know her well. And in the case where folks are getting to know her for the first time, we try to set you up for success. Soto very much marks the beginning of a whole new journey. So while we reference the Dragon Cycle and the events of Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 to date, players new and veteran alike will be exploring the secrets of the Wizard Tower, or the secrets of the Obscure, for the first time together. Zojja is but one facet of that puzzle, but a critical one. Amid the otherwise chaotic, darker tone that we achieve in Soto, Zojja and her story is one that demands empathy, and it is a story we hope anyone can take something away from. It's personal and pretty darn fantastical. Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure will release August 22nd for PC. You can feel free to use Peachy's referral link, or whoever you want to support. All the partners have referral links. So if you want to support someone with your Soto purchase, it's like less than a month now. Less than a month from Secrets of the Obscure. I really hope that they keep putting out these articles. There was also an article on the Guild Wars 2.com website about also the Soto story and the narrative. So definitely also check that one out if you're interested in a little bit more hints about what's to come with the general narrative of the story. I think that released on last Tuesday. I don't remember what came out, what is time, but yeah, so check those out. Go support the ScreenRant article, go watch the video, and support these wonderful people who bring us this information and put this stuff together. And I am so excited. I will be streaming Secrets of the Obscure at launch, so I am so excited to share that experience with you all. Yay!